I felt deceived. Any way that you could imagine, I felt that way while I was out there. And it seemed like that was the longest night in the world. It just, could you imagine just sitting on the side of, even I was so embarrassed that I was sleeping on the steps of the hotel. And so I would try to act like I was up when people would walk through there so they wouldn't notice that I was asleep. But I had it in my heart that it was going to change. And the very next day, we got a voucher for 30 days in a hotel. Had somewhere to sleep. Once I got in the hotel, I got on my laptop and I was doing everything. I mean, I was trying to work businesses or whatever. But let me tell you, sometimes when you're going through the struggle, it don't mean that you need to try to pull all the stops out the hat. That ain't it. When you're going through the struggle, that's when you need to listen. You need to be aware of what's going on around you, inside of you. A lot of us, when we struggling, we try to figure out, oh, the quickest way to make some money. That's how people get started into selling drugs and mess their life up completely. When you struggle for a reason. You don't struggle just to struggle. If you struggling, the all is trying to talk to you. Listen, I'm telling y'all my testimony. I'm telling you what happened. So, make a long story short, so my sister, she ended up getting the house. The program she was on only allowed us to stay there for 14 days, but she's such a good person and so pure in the all. She was like, you know what, y'all can stay here. I don't care what they say. She could have got kicked out of her house for letting us stay there. But she said she didn't care. She would rather her get kicked out the house and we all struggle. And that's real family. That is real family. That's real family. So in the meanwhile, my wife and I were just like, we don't want you to get kicked out of your house. We know that you have a good heart. We don't want you to get kicked out. So what we end up doing is we start applying to stay in some homeless shelters. Mind you, we had our kids. We applied to stay in some homeless shelters. Eventually, after a couple of weeks, a couple of months, about a whole month went by, staying with my sister in her condo, and we got into a homeless shelter. And as a man, I didn't feel, I was in the luxury of staying with my sister-in-law. She had a condo on the nice side of San Diego. Beautiful. And then I had to go stay in a homeless shelter. I didn't want to go. In my mind, I would rather risk her losing her place to live comfortable like I wanted to live instead of doing what I needed to go and going to the shelter. So my conscience eventually convicted me, and we ended up going to the shelter, the homeless shelter. How did I feel? I got a wife, a pregnant wife, and two toddlers. Not a good feeling as a man. You can imagine this whole experience in California for me was a spiritual one. It took my mind to levels that you could never imagine. I think I came across every fear that I had as a man. And life will take you through these cycles. I think almost in a way, life knows exactly what to do to get you to the point to where you can thrive because life won't allow you to just sit still unless life give up on you, and that's a whole another story. But anyway, we get to this homeless shelter, and to my surprise, we get a room. We get a nice big room, okay? Of course, they got all these rules, but it is what it is. So I said, you know what? In my head, I'm like, I'm not gonna stay here long. I'm gonna say, I think I got a job faster than I don't know what. I started getting the job. I got a job with a company called Greenpeace, soliciting donations to help save the world. Look, it wasn't even my type of work, but in order to get out of that homeless shelter, I was willing to do whatever. And let me tell you something. Life will put you in an uncomfortable situation to make you grow. See, the thing about us is, as human beings, we like to live in our comfort zone, and whenever we're comfortable, we stop growing. And so, when you're put in a position where you're uncomfortable, the only thing you're thinking about is getting comfortable. That was deep. Catch that. So, you can imagine being in this homeless shelter, and it was hundreds of families in this shelter. Hundreds. Different stories, different circumstances. Some people had been in these shelters more than once. I told him, I said, when I get up out of here, you won't ever see me again. Trust that. You won't. This is temporary. You won't ever see me in another homeless shelter a day in your life. Bet that. And I want to say we stayed there all of maybe a month. But the thing is, it was fun, sneaking food when we weren't supposed to. We gave that place so much light. The all within my family. God radiated off of our family. A guy walked past me and said, "You have a purple aura about you." That's the aura of intuition, complete and utter trust in God. Because God is all I had. What else did I have? I ain't have no job, no money. All I had was my own mind and the mind of God. That's all I had. So I'm telling you, when it comes to enduring, I'm telling you, it ain't no clear-cut way to get through the struggle. I'm just telling you, how you get through the struggle is going to depend on your path in life. Whatever path or your destiny is, you will have to go through certain things in your life in order to reach certain people. And that's just it. You got to think about it. When they say that we are kingdom workers, we all work for the kingdom of God, what they teach us in church, I can't get to all the same people you can get to. You can't get to the same people I can get to. But through my testimony and the things that I've been through, I could talk to you about drugs. I could talk to you about a homeless shelter. I could talk to you about feeling like a failure. I could talk to you about not graduating from college. I can talk to you about being put in a mental health facility. I could talk, but I can reach a certain group of people. Everybody in life ain't been through that. See what I mean? So everything that you've been through it so that you could talk to somebody else about it. So anyway, getting back to my story. So eventually, we made the best out of being in the homeless shelter, okay? We even won the door contest. We decorated our door. I mean, we made it just seem like so much fun. Met some cool people in there. But I told them we getting up out of here. I don't care how cool we are. I can't stay here. My wife was like 9 months pregnant. It was time for us to leave. So eventually we ended up going back with my sister-in-law, but we couldn't stay there because her landlord was like, y'all either going to have to pay me money, and she wanted us to pay $100 per person. This was like $500, and for the unborn baby, ruthless. But it's her place, and if we wanted to stay there, we had to abide by her rules, let alone the program that my sister was in. If they would have found out we was there, they would have kicked her out. But like I said, she didn't care. Good people though. So we ended up getting our food stamps and cash assistance and whatnot. And we started staying in hotels. I can tell you, I've stayed in every part of San Diego, in every hotel. We even stayed in Mexico at some point. I mean, and that's how we was living. We was living from hotel to hotel. But in living from hotel to hotel, I'm gonna tell you the anguish I went through when I had to carry my kids and all of our luggage on the train the trolley, every time we had to go somewhere. Feeding my kids on the trolley because we ain't have nowhere to go. And when our stay was up at the hotel we was in, we had to find somewhere else to go. So we was nomads. Everywhere we went, we had to repack up our stuff. It was like we would live and move all the time. And my kids enjoyed it though, because we stayed in nice hotels. Let me tell y'all something. Hotwire.com and Priceline was our best friends for a year. Best friends. Found the best hotels. And I talked to a friend. I ran across a friend. And I'm going to tell you one thing about the all, or God. God will put people in your path to encourage you. I met a friend while I was in California. I would never forget her. Because she told me she knew what her purpose was in life. And it was just when people was traveling the path, people would just run into her. And she would just encourage them. And she used to tell me how to manifest. I used to tell her, I said, well, why is it that God is, I'm still struggling. Why am I still doing so bad? And she would just encourage me. We would just talk and she would encourage me. Now, mind you, something else was going on. While my living situation was hectic, I was growing and thriving in another area in life. And that was doing what I'm doing with you right now, talking, being a life coach, a motivational speaker. You can get so low in life that it will force you to find the good inside of you. It will force you to find them positive characteristics that make you the person you are. Struggle pulls that out of you. Struggle is the ingredient to pull out the best in you. And so, in the meantime, people didn't know I was living from hotel to hotel. People didn't know I was sleeping on the side of buildings. But when I went to these upscale business meetings, I had on a suit and I looked nice. You could not tell what I was going through at the time. All they knew, I was the CEO of a business, a young, black, thriving young boy who had a dream. That's all they knew. And when I left them, I was going back to find somewhere to live again. But that's all they knew. You see what I mean? Really, really, really deep. So I'm going to tell you something. Just because somebody look good on the outside do not mean you know what's going on the inside. Because they might be struggling for their life and you wouldn't even know it. But it was the God inside of me that was able to keep my composure. I had joined the Chamber of Commerce, and it didn't matter how bad I was doing. I wanted to give of myself. I wanted to give. And let me tell you, when you're struggling, give anyway, because it'll be given unto you. Whatever you give, it'll come back. And so I'm gonna tell you, I made it my business. Whenever I did get a little bit of money, I would go and homeless people I seen, I would just give them money. You struggling yourself. Why are you giving anybody money? Because it's a law. Give and it'll be given back unto you. And I gave anytime I can do it. When I got money, it was like my tithes. I gave it to somebody. Sometimes I gave them everything in my pocket. And I come to find out, one time I gave away $10 and the next day got like $800 back. I'm telling you, it worked. Give of yourself. If you ain't got money to give your time. Help somebody. Do something for somebody. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what happened. So my wife and I was like, look, man, it was months staying from hotel to hotel, struggling, trying to make it. And I'm gonna tell you something. When it comes to life, there's a lot of options you could go. I used to sell drugs in college, and in my head, I was like, maybe I could get back into that, make some money. The struggle will also offer you alternatives to make your life better. But I said that that's not the route I wanted to go. Not no more. I got kids. In the meantime, also with running business, I also started doing these press play webinars. And when y'all hear me at the beginning say press play to your destiny, press play to your destiny got started through this struggle. It was birthed through the struggle. It was to help people to press play on their life so they didn't have to go through the exact same things I went through. I'm not going to say so you don't have to struggle. At some point, everybody experiences a struggle. Rich people struggle too. They might not struggle the way you struggle, but everybody has a point in their life where they struggle because the struggle is something that brings something up out of you, like I said before. So my wife and I was like, you know what? We can't live like this. So we took our giving to people to the next level. We started doing press play seminars and libraries. I mean, taking the little money we got, we was going to Staples, making packets, and we was teaching classes in the hood. Teaching people how to be positive, how to get through the struggle. All they seen was a young black boy with a mind to do it. Oh, I was driven, and I still am driven. But I got up there and I taught. I was never a life coach in my life. But I knew what my passion was, my purpose. When I started listening to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and Andrew Carnegie, when I started listening to these concepts that positive messages can rewire the way you think, when I started listening to the fact that what we think in our minds can actually come and manifest out here in the physical world, when I found out that my thoughts control my circumstances and situations, when I found out that the vibes that I put out, that if I could emit more love, if I could give more of myself, that I could get and I could be successful, and I wanted nothing more than to acquire wealth and to help other people. That's it. And leave a legacy behind for my family. That was all. That's all I wanted to do. And so I did everything, but was still struggling. So me and my wife, while we were in the hotels, we were like, we want a place. And so we started thanking God. Remember I was telling you about manifesting desire, expectation, intent, and belief. And every day we was in the hotels, we was thank you for our new house, thank you for our new car, thank you for our new jobs. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all see what I'm sitting in right now? I'm sitting in a house. Not only am I sitting in the house, I'm sitting in my house. I got a job. And it's okay because I won't have to work a job very long because I know that my whole goal isn't to work a job, but you got to do what you got to do when you got a family. I'm sorry. I don't care how big your dream is. You have to do what you got to do. Trust me. Everything, as long as you understand that everything that you do, don't get stuck. That's the thing a lot of people have issues with. They get stuck, start making a little money on their job, make some good money, and then they think that the job is all they are. So their job defines them. So when they lose their job, they lose their mind. When they get their hours cut, they lose their mind because they was dependent on the job and not dependent on the vision that was given to them that was going to bring them money. Like I told y'all before, stop chasing money, chase a life force, create the substance. Y'all see what I'm doing with y'all right now? I create a substance. And I'm going to tell you, I might not have a lot of people on my channel right now, but I'm going to tell y'all what I know. Because of my heart, because of my intent and my desire to succeed, y'all hear what I say. Y'all gonna look at this same channel a year from now, a couple of months from now, and be like, dang, he was right. Because I'm on another level. I talked to my dad. My dad came to visit me. When I went, the last time I seen my dad was a year ago, struggling. This time he came to my house. I was able to show him some complimentary home keeping. And me and my dad had a conversation that brought me to tears. I said, if nobody could have ever taught me how hard life was, they can't teach it to you in school. They can't teach it to you in college. You're gonna experience life, and there is no way around it. You can't shelter yourself. The only thing you could do is grow in knowledge and embrace the hits when they come because they will come. Trust and believe. But as long as you grow and develop in knowledge, grow and develop in who you are, and find out who you are, that is the key. Find out who the heck you are. Because trust me, in my whole struggle, I had to find out who I was. And the person that you see talking to you right now is exactly who I am. And I'll change. Years down the line, I'm going to grow. And you may hear me talk about different things. And I may have different perspectives on life. But right now, that's what I'm doing. And I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So if anything I want y'all to get from it is endure. Endure. There is no clear cut way. You need to find the vision for you. I didn't even go into the conversations I had with myself, how I kept myself motivated, the things I thought in my head, the things that I did to keep myself afloat from not admitting myself back into another mental health facility because life will have you lose your mind. But I tell you what one of my friends told me, until you lose your mind on this 3D world, you won't ever get it in another place. You have to lose your mind to get it. And everybody at some point will lose their mind. It might not be in a dramatic way, you trying to commit suicide, but everybody gets to a breaking point in their life. But the best thing about getting to a breaking point is there is only one other place to go when you at the bottom. That's it. Actually, it's two. You can stay at the bottom or you could go up. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's never for me to just stay at the bottom, period. The bottom is too crowded, trying to get somewhere where I can breathe. So I hope I was able to teach you something today. I know this was a much longer video, but I don't know who it was for. It was just in my mind to just get up and to do the video because we all struggle. And these stories like mine, stories of other people that you might have heard, it helps us get through life. It teaches us that there is more. You can get through it. And let me tell y'all something too that I left out. I was a huge I smoked weed. I drank alcohol like it was no tomorrow. Let me let y'all know that y'all don't have to. When I moved to California, I said I'm gonna do something different. I might have smoked weed a couple of times, and when I say a couple of times, it was so I could get myself in the right state of mind. I stayed in California for almost a year and smoked weed twice. That's the difference between when I was in Florida and I used to smoke weed every day. I used to smoke cigarettes and beer. I dropped cigarettes and beer the first day I moved to California. I never picked up a beer and cigarettes in California. And now I don't even smoke weed anymore. I'm telling you, learn who you are. You're not weed. You're not alcohol. You're none of the stuff that you hide behind because that's all it is. You can make it out here. You could do it. Keep the faith. Listen to people like me. Listen to people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Andrew Carnegie. Listen to those people. You can do it. Anyway, y'all, that's my time. Remember, press play and say yes to your destiny and vision. You can make it out here.